Before I begin today's video, if you want to get real news and information straight from the Trump 2020 campaign, download the official free app through the link in the description box below. Just giving your number verified, then you'll be good to go. And yes, this is an ad, but you only get ads straight from me that I believe in. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this really big story that's all over the place right now, all on the internet, all on regular TV, everywhere, about Trump and the quote-unquote downplay comments he made to Bob Woodward. There's a lot we got to get through, a whole lot to quote-unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say, but let's start from the top. Now, Bob Woodward has a book coming out Friday, September 11th. I will not name the book right here, nor will I put a link in the box to pre-order. This is not an ad for the book, but it is coming out. And today, which is Wednesday, September the 9th, there's this real big story that's in this book. Coincidence? I think not, but I digress. The whole point is that Trump's on tape saying that he wanted to play down, not downplay, we'll talk about that in a minute, the virus. Now, like I said, there's a lot to get into, so let's roll the tape first. In the tape, you'll hear Trump say what the media are saying that he said to a certain extent. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what he said. I'll put it in some context. I'll give you some more audio from other people. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older
exactly.
young people, to plenty of young people.
So
what's going on
give me a moment of talking to somebody, going through this with Fauci or somebody who kind of, it caused a pivot in your mind, because it's clear just from what's on the public record that you went through a pivot on this to, oh my God, the gravity is almost inexplicable and unexplainable.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
All right, you heard that. You didn't see it because there's no video. Was it edited? I don't know. I don't think so, but it could have been. But you heard that. He says he was trying to play down the virus. Now, my question is, what does it really mean? The media have pretty much already made their minds up. They think that he's saying he downplayed the virus, therefore he didn't take it seriously. He didn't do things that should have been done to prevent the virus from spreading. He could have saved lives. He was lackadaisical, didn't really care, all this, that, and the third. But is that really what happened? Is it really what he was saying? I don't think so. And if that is what he was saying, then the left has some explaining to do themselves. Let's go back to January. Remember the whole Chinese travel ban that Trump did before there was any real recorded cases of the virus in the country? It probably was already here, but it wasn't recorded yet. People didn't know what it was really. It was just happening over in China. We all saw the videos that went viral. People on the subway dropping dead, coughing up blood, all this and that and the third. So Trump says, hey, okay, you got this crazy virus right now over in China. Let's not have that come here. So let's cut off travel from China to the U.S. When Trump did that, what was he called? Xenophobe, racist. This is, you're acting too rash. Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them said, oh, come on down to Chinatown. It's all right. You know, Orange Man's bad. He's racist against Asian people, all this, that, and the third. He was acting before any of this whole virus thing really popped back in March. This is in January when he did that travel ban, okay? He had a whole task force with Fauci and Birx and the rest of them early. Oh, downplaying? Like, what does it really mean? When I hear I'm trying to play it down to not cause panic, I hear just that. He won't go on TV and say, hey, the virus is going to kill you. You're going to die in 5 days. Get everything right now. Run to the store, get guns, get ammo. I'm hearing him just trying to, be calm and exude calm. There's nothing more that he could have done to prevent anything that happened. In my humble opinion, he acted appropriately. Actually, if he was to take the World Health Organization's advice and the Democrats' advice, things would have been worse, because they were saying open up the travel to China and it can't go from human to human. They were saying that, WHO that is, they were saying that as late as July, that it can't go from human to human. But we all knew that it could, based upon what we saw from the videos in China and from what it did over here. We saw it. So Trump and the whole team, not just Trump by himself, because Trump's no doctor. He might go in there and say, you know, it's airborne, all this, that, and the third, but what does he really know aside from what he's being told? Okay. Oh, then they were trying to say he knew that it was airborne, therefore he shouldn't have rallies and whatnot. Now, when you say airborne, what does that mean? Does it mean that it's just caught in the air and it can't move anywhere? Like, what is it? What does that actually really mean? Okay. And then what could have been done to actually prevent that from spreading at that particular point? They're saying it could have been PPE and stuff like that. That didn't come about until way later, until we understood how to deal with the virus. Okay. Like I said, you got a whole team around you, and they are able to give you the information that you need to go out there to the public with. Now, remember, back when the virus popped, or even before it popped in March, you had the coronavirus task force. They come out there all the time, almost every day, and say what was happening with the country, right? You had Anthony Fauci out there, Deborah Birx. Now, Anthony Fauci kind of rose to prominence during this time because he was seen as a vocal adversary of Trump. Trump would come out there and say something, and it was like Fauci would come out there and say the opposite. They would kind of like have this little Cold War on the stage. You know, it got to the point where Trump was like, don't go out here and say that, don't go out here and say that, because he knew that there may be some more civil unrest based upon what Fauci was saying, and it wouldn't actually help anything get better. What he was saying would actually make things worse with no actual medical benefit. But different story, I digress. My whole point is that Fauci was seen as a kind of a mole in the administration. And in the book that Bob Woodward has written that'll come out on Friday, he was saying that Fauci said that Trump has a super short attention span, and it's like a negative attention span, and just saying some really negative things about him and a few more things. Now, Fauci already came out on TV and expressed that what was said in the book was not accurate. And as far as downplaying the virus, he did not see that. Check this out.
Task force members with the president were talking about the reality of what was going on. And then when we would get up in front of the press conferences, which were very, very common after our discussions with the president, he really didn't say anything different than we discussed when we were with him. So I may not be tuned in to the right thing that they're talking about, but I didn't really see any discrepancies between what he told us and what we told him and what he ultimately came out publicly and said.
So did you get a sense that he was or wasn't playing this down?
No, I didn't. I didn't get any sense that he was distorting anything. I mean, in my discussions with him, they were always straightforward about the concerns that we had. We related that to him. And when he would go out, I'd hear him discussing the same sort of things. He would often say, we just got through with a briefing with the group from the task force, and would talk about it. So, no, it may have happened, but I have not seen that kind of distortion. I don't think he said much different than what we said when we were in the Oval Office.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, and I know you talk a lot about the idea that noise sort of gets in there and clouds the message, but you are quoted in the Woodward book as well. According to the Washington Post, Fauci at one point tells others that the president, quote, is on a separate channel and unfocused in meetings with, quote, rudderless leadership, according to Woodward. Quote, his attention span is like a minus number, Fauci said, right, according to Woodward. His sole purpose is to get reelected. Right. Is that correct?
You know, if you notice, it was others have said that. Yeah. So, you know, you should ask others. I don't recall that at all. So, I mean, in the book, I didn't read the book, but according to what I saw in the newspapers, it says, and others have said that. So, you know, I mean, I don't really want to get involved in the kind of stuff that is very distracting to the kind of things that I'm trying to do and that we're all trying to do with this outbreak.
So you would question that account then?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So you heard that. You saw that right there. Now, what I heard is what I heard. Trump is sitting down with the coronavirus task force. They're telling them things. They're having the conversation. And he goes out there on the stage and repeats it. So how can you say that Trump's trying to downplay the virus, is not telling all the information, when the task force are having whole conversations and conferences with him every single day, and he goes out and says what they tell him? He cannot say publicly a thing that they don't tell him for the most part. And that's what Anthony Fauci said, who many of the left have as some kind of hero. Protect Fauci at all costs. Are you still going to protect Fauci at all costs now that he pretty much put a knife in your fake story, Bob Woodward, trying to talk about Trump was not taking it seriously? You could have saved lives, all this, that, and the third. Now, speaking of those that were kind of playing it down or downplaying it, and talk about the Democrats, there's a whole montage of them literally downplaying it much more than Trump could have ever done, if you want to say that he was downplaying it. Because remember, Trump cut off Chinese travel back in January early. Democrats didn't like it. And if you've forgotten about that, check this out.
The risk to New Yorkers for coronavirus is low, and our city preparedness is high.
This should not stop you from going about your life, should not stop you from going to Chinatown and going out to eat. I'm going to do that today myself.
Come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
There is no concern at this time for coronavirus in our region.
The Department of Sanitation is ready for Mardi Gras 2020.
The facts are reassuring.
We want New Yorkers to go about their daily lives.
But there's really no need to panic and to avoid activities that we always do as New Yorkers. We are a hardy people.
Americans do not need to panic. What I would suggest, however, is that Americans take this as a wake-up call for seasonal flu.
There's very little threat here. This disease, even if you were to get it, basically acts like a common cold or flu.
So we're telling New Yorkers, go about your lives, take the subway, go out, enjoy life, and certainly not to miss the parade next Sunday. I'm going to be there.
If you had to, would you close down the borders?
No.
We need to be honest about the American people, with the American people, about the fact that we can't keep people coming here from China.
And transmission is not that easy. I think there's been a misperception that coronavirus hangs in the air waiting to catch you. No, it takes direct person-to-person contact.
We also know that if it were likely to be transmitted casually, we would be seeing a lot more cases.
Right, because this is New York, and you're in elevators and trains with everybody all the time.
So I'm trying to figure out what's really going on. I mean, who's holier than thou here? You want to say Trump did this, Trump did that, but you guys in the Senate, you know, in governance, your mayor, whatever, the Senate, you guys have information. You guys are briefed as well. So why were you putting that out? Were you trying to downplay it, or did you just not really know what was going on? We're listening to the World Health Organization because they were saying there was no threat from China. So are you taking the cue from them and just kind of regurgitating that? Were you wrong? Were you right? What's really happening? All right. So, you know, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones at the next man. You know, protect your own house, because that same stone may come right back at you and shatter your own house and leave you exposed and vulnerable. All right. The left won't get much flack for what they said. It's documented, it's on tape, video, audio, all that good stuff. And they doubled down on it many times after the fact and did not apologize for it after the fact. And that's fine. But Trump says, I want to play it down to not cause panic, which was a thing, because that was a real thing. You know, remember the toilet paper shortage and food shortage and whatnot? That was a real thing. I don't want to cause panic. Nothing that he said or did not say was in any kind of way a security risk. Nothing that there was no more that could have been done beyond what he did. He actually acted against what they were trying to tell him, which was listen to the World Health Organization and don't shut down travel and it can't spread from human. He went against that to do what was right for the nation. And that is what saved lives. Don't try to spin it right now because A, you got a book coming out, Bob Woodward, and B, you got the election going on right now with Joe Biden. I would not be surprised if Woodward and Washington Post or whoever coordinated this whole thing with the Biden campaign in order to try and attack Trump. This is the same thing that was going on in 2016. All these little attacks and, you know, recorded messages, and they're trying to spin it and whatnot, double standards. You know, that was the same thing going on back then. So I am not surprised that we're dealing with this right now. But at the end of the day, as I close, nothing that Trump could have done would have prevented what happened with the virus. And like I said many times before, I think he did too much with the whole shutdown thing. All right. I think he did too much. And I think the administration did whatever they knew as soon as they knew it. Because like I said, it's not just Trump out there. You got a whole coronavirus task force. You got people that are medical professionals, Anthony Fauci, Deborah Birx, Jerome Adams. You got all these guys and girls in there that know what they're doing, apparently. And he's taking advice from them, taking the cues from them, and not the Chinese health the World Health Organization and people like that had the most incorrect information. Weird how that goes. Was it intentional from China to the U.S.? I don't know, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Trump downplayed the virus to the point where he neglected Americans' health and did not do things he should have done to protect us? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or do you think he was not trying to incite panic, but he did all of what he could do according to his own best judgment and from his team of medical professionals, doctors, people that are infectious disease experts and whatnot? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. Like he said in the audio, he's not trying to cause panic. Those that are quoting it, trying to attack Trump, leave that part out for some reason. They don't want to talk about the civil unrest that happens when you induce panic. Okay, they say we got a killer virus. It's going to kill you. It's airborne. It'll attack you when you sleep. Nothing you could do to stop it. It'll go in your nose and your eyes. If you say something like that on TV, I mean, the effects of that could be worse than the virus itself. And you don't want to have that. At the same time, you want to have security for your citizens, which is what he did. All right. Not just Trump. Like I said, you got a whole task force that was able to do that. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.